I'm Anna Hart.
I'm Lorraine Hart, and today we are joined by my son, AJ.
Hello.
As a short introduction, I'm so proud of both my kids, who aren't kids anymore. Sorry. But I wanted to give them a love of learning and a seeking when they were kids, and then leave it up to them how they would find themselves and move in the world. And they have, and got some really good things to share with you today. And like that, there we can start.
We can start. Yes, we're very happy to have my brother AJ with us. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes.
And thank you for being willing to talk about an incredible find. That's how I would describe it. We are talking about Qigong today. And what I quickly say to people is, imagine Tai Chi, meditation, and breathing work all rolled up into one. And that's kind of Qigong.
A start.
It's a little bit of a level to start with. We didn't find as a family this medicine until how many years ago that you?
I guess it was in 15 or so.
Wow, so 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Ish. That this came into our family's life. So Erin is the one who brought it to us. So I'm going to first ask you to give us a basic description of Qigong with your understanding.
The basic understanding. I guess what it was for me was the realization of the energy body. And in Chinese medicine, everything is energy in motion or blocked and not in motion. Whether that be an illness, it's actually true of everything. And for me, when learning to, I guess it was learning to relax. Learning to relax was the biggest thing.
It's hard in our society, and you came from
Yeah.
New York, which is like
Yes.
not going to relax.
So learning to get out of the way, in a way, rather than doing another thing, and becoming sensitive to recognizing either the flowing energy or the stagnant energy, and where that stagnant energy can ultimately build up into disease.
A blockage.
Right, a blockage of some sort, which we call the illness, or Mingtong, my teacher, specifies dis-ease, right, is what it really is.
A lot of people use that hyphen in between. Yes,
yeah,
I know.
Totally. So, and, though coming to it for a different reason, still it was from the position of lack, the what else can I do? I just was, in my case, was depression. And I was looking for self-help online, and for whatever reason, Qigong just came into my lap. And I tried it, and, you go into it looking for something very specific, right? But you start to notice the nature of how other tensions and things just start falling off, and just recognizing the contracted state, which I think is shared amongst all the various types of dis-ease.
There's never just one issue today. It's like, I have to look at nutrients, building up my body, and also sometimes doing a treatment which is very toxic to my body, so then a detox. And
I think all Lyme patients come to the realization that they have to reach out for much more of a balance in their lives. And for you, depression, you needed to reach out. I believe the universe is a very benevolent place that brings to you what you need, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, I mean, whoever would have thought?
Right.
You know, I would be the one teaching this sort of thing these days, right?
And yet,
But,
when you were a baby, we always called you the little Buddha.
oh,
Because you
Right.
sat and you just beamed love on everybody. And you never fussed, you just beamed.
and relating it back to all of this, what I guess is so wonderful about it is the beautiful simplification, right, of things.
Yeah.
You know, the things almost don't even matter anymore. It's just, am I open and flowing or am I not, right? And
Right.
can I do things to boost my chi, right? You know, even if it's a small victory, right? We know, especially in
And for
lower
those-
chi, any victory is a great
Right,
victory, you know?
right.
It's a wonderful
Just
thing.
for those that don't know, because we don't know who is going to come across, chi is energy, but it's more than that.
Yes. So, chi is energy. To translate it more specifically, is life force energy. And the analogy I tend to use to help people get it a bit more, okay, because yes, we get energy from the ingestion of calories, right? We have caloric energy.
Right.
And chi, however, is what comes when you're in a state of desire and joy, right? When you're driven to do something, right? The energy comes from the universe, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The chi field that is everywhere. So, just a wonderful way of starting to recognize and then grow the energy, because that energy is, you know, you hear the stories of a mother that can lift a car, right?
Right.
When the child's in danger,
Yeah.
right?
It's
when
needed.
there's more energy
I know a
within
story
anyone.
of a father that lifted a train car.
Yeah, it's amazing. Right? And I mean, I even use examples that are more mundane, like laundry. Why is laundry a mountainous chore that is just so defeating one day, right? And the next day you get 5 loads done
Yeah.
throughout doing other things,
Fluffing
right?
in a folder.
Right.
Beautiful way to recognize when the same situation is so different, right? Just from a
Yes.
perspective
Yes.
point of view. And when we start to develop the coming back to center, if you will, that the relaxation provides,
Yeah.
we start to get to do things instead of having to do things, I guess, you know, and just those little recognitions, you know. If someone asks me what's the number one ingredient to health, it's joy, and I know that joy is hard to manifest at some points, right? And that's why we have these types of practices.
When we're driven with
Yes.
pain, fatigue, whatever is going on in your life.
Stress.
One of the biggest reasons that I grabbed onto Qigong in the beginning was because, and my body was not well at this point, not to the point it is now. And you told me about the fact that I didn't actually need to move at that point. If I would just picture it, if I would just, for some people, imagining it, and to as slowly go through all the different moves in my mind, that it still moved energy through my body. It wasn't as good as the actual practice, yes, you know, but it was something when I couldn't move barely a finger, and it was a part of helping to get me out of that state.
Where the mind goes, chi flows.
Oh,
That is so true.
Yeah.
And it is why the existence of the placebo effect.
Right.
It is,
Right.
you know, these healings, you know, whether they're labeled faith healings, miracle healings, right? There are healings that transpire with zero touch, you know, and it's because there is in fact this energy, this chi field. It's now finally proven too, which some people need to hear this, right?
We have
They've
science.
used the dyes that have outlined the meridians, just like your acupuncturist,
Yeah.
acupressure,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
right? So you
Right.
can watch these dyes go when they tell you this is heart line, and what do you know? It goes right up to the heart, right?
Wow.
So recognizing that all of these points and where, you know, in each one of us it's different, right? We have different aches in these places. These are all clues as to the greater, deeper nature, you know, which I guess in Chinese medicine they say which organ is on fire, you know, and starting to recognize that, oh, little things are clues, you know, these aches and pains are clues as to what's truly happening internally.
Could you describe, you said meridians. There are going to be people who don't know what that is.
Right.
Can you?
So meridians are, most simply put, just like the veins and vessels are for the blood. They are the tubing, if you will, for a word to describe it, that the energy is carried through the body. So these are, there are many charts that show the outlines, how they come down both sides of the arm, out into the hands and fingers, you know, all the reflexology charts, right? Being able to rub the organs through the connecting areas on the feet and on the hands,
Yeah.
right? Ears especially. These are wonderful basic things that,
If you
know,
have not tried yet, massage your ears. My
Oh.
goodness, it's wonderful. Sorry.
every part though, every
Every
part, the
part.
little inside parts, just rub them. You know, it's like taking in a chi bath or a chi shower where you want to wring the body as though it was a sponge, right? Because as you're doing that and getting the oils from deep, which you only really feel without soap, right? Like you want to rub until you don't feel oily anymore, right? And
Right.
then you know you've wrung yourself out of those toxins, right? And wow, I mean, again, going back to simplification, right? You're just a sponge, and sometimes we're a dirty sponge, and we need to wring the sponge with that dirty, muddy water out, right? And then
Right.
for a moment, find somewhere that is at least peaceful enough to take the conscious breaths and bring the fresh and clean in, you know? And not just to do it, but to mindfully be aware of it, right? To sink that program in, which when we get into breathing, we'll certainly
Yes,
point that
it's
out.
hard to stop with the daily living, the daily this, to bring
The
back
monkey mind.
the
Monkey mind that chatters away. And it's so much a part of what learning to recognize. It's what Qigong kind of shows. Because I want to point out to people too that Qigong itself is not a thing. It's not an exercise like a name. It's not. I'll give you the definition even. Qi itself, again, is that life force energy, that driving energy that can come out of the ether. And Gong just translates to the cultivation, development, the study of, right? The building within yourself. So to understand Qigong, right, is the cultivation and development of life force energy. And, you know, that can be done in anything from just the breathing, mentally activating, going back to your point, and slowly through that activation, as the blood starts to go to that area because your mind, your consciousness, your awareness is there, right? That, I think, is the physical effect that most people don't understand, that yoga, tai chi, qigong, all of these slow motion type of movements, they're meant to saturate the area with blood, because blood is what brings all of our healing stuff.
Right.
Right, Puppy?
Yeah.
So, you know, again, the sponge technique applies at every level. The energetic sponge, right? The physical sponge of the actual toxins in the body. And, you know, great simplification ways again, you know, and the movements of Qigong and the yogas and the Tai Chi, right, are all gently wringing the toxins out, while at the same time the gentle stretch, opening the meridians, allowing for flow, just like we want our blood to flow openly, freely. And that deeper saturation only comes from the slow motion movement, you know. And so to even start without movement is totally okay, because the goal is to bring heart rate down, unlike all the other cardio exercises, right? We want to more deeply embed the healing, deeply embed the blood, right, from the physical, the healing, and the mental, you know.
It's like downloading a program.
Exactly right.
How to...
Yeah.
And it's available for everyone.
Right, right.
Net neutrality.
There's an overwhelming amount of information even, and that's why just to sit in the practice, just to get a basic way of learning how to bring oneself into a still place where it's, even for 5 minutes, just worry free, you know, even for 5 minutes, if it's without heartache, you know. Using the mind initially, you know, there is a lot of fake it till you make it for some in the beginning, you know, just saying, it's kind of like, you know, they say if you want to be a millionaire, right, you got to start hanging out with millionaires and thinking millionaire thoughts. And the same applies here, right? If you want to be in joy, you know, and again, that's a big lesson to point out to people too. It's like, why do you want to heal, right? Healing isn't the focus. It's because we want the joy after, right? You know, so what our teachers so beautifully display is you don't need to mentally stay in this healing, struggle, painful place, right? If you allow yourself mentally to get to that place, and slowly the body just follows along, you gently do the practices, never to where it hurts or tension is building up. And this is a problem for people, because they try to overdo it. They want to exercise and get stronger, right? But the getting stronger is in that softening. You know, it's
with the tension in our bodies that we're not even aware of. Like I know for me, the left side of my neck is always bothering me, and I realize when I put attention to it and focus upon it, I can let it come out of my ears. I go, oh, how did it get back up in my ear? Because I went back to sleep. And
you know,
just giving ourselves the permission that we can do a check, and that we absolutely need to do a check if we're not feeling well, or if something is about to happen, you know, we have to go through. We can at least give our bodies, ourselves, our hearts, our spirits that love and comfort for a minute. Just be ready. You got it. You got this.
So a beautiful example, and one of my favorite stories to tell is one day we were not sure if I had maybe had a seizure after many, many years of not. I had come down to a catatonic state. I could not speak. I could not take in what others were saying. I was there, but I wasn't. My caregiver calls my brother. He starts looking up what is something that we can do. Drives down to 40 minutes, comes and sits on my bed, and tells me to just do some breathing. Very easy, very simple. Deep breath in, deep breath out, or pushing it out. And after a couple of breaths, you said, picture a mist. And did you specifically say a white mist, was it?
Clean white mist, yes.
And then on the next breath, I was to take in that mist. And you know, if I couldn't understand words, I do often wonder, was it just because you sat in front of me and breathed that I kind of breathed with you? Because I was there, but I wasn't there. But then suddenly what he was saying was making sense. You know, so, okay, I breathed, sucked in a mist. I asked it just very humbly and very basically, please take the bad. That was it. Please take the bad. And then on the exhale, you said I might even feel the mist become heavier, that I would hopefully see it come out kind of a gray color, because taking the dirt, the stuff out. And it was. By the third inhale, exhale, I was talking again. I was back.
It's a
And
brain
I just
cleanse.
asked.
Yes. It's a brain cleansing exercise. Just a way, so many people have trouble with meditation because of, again, the monkey mind and not settling into the stillness of just breathing. But this is another one where you can add a visualization, right? And visualizations are really just tricks to hold your attention.
Yes, they are.
They hold your attention because you have, it's a shiny thing. Again, we talk about this shiny thing.
Yeah.
Distracting, right?
Yeah.
Magpies.
So, more specifically, what I had asked her to do that day, right, was to inhale. And when you breathe in these exercises, you learn to relax the abdomen. So the breath, when I say comes from the bottom up, right, you can picture expanding the belly first as you're breathing, and the body as a full lung, let's imagine, fills up to the top, right, but starting at the bottom. So as you begin the body breathing, I said to her, imagine drawing the white mist up the spine, right, and drawing it up to the spine, through the spine, where it now has access inside into the brain cavity. And allowing the white mist, and you picture mist where it's a cool, refreshing sensation of moisture, right? And feeling what often these blockages, tensions, pain is heat, so feeling that cooling of the heat, right? The de-stressing, the relaxing. And yes, it does, as you mix with the toxins, become gray, and you exhale the gray. Until, usually it's somewhere when you follow a breath fully through and you get to a third time of doing that fully through, you blow it out and almost blue sky then just comes out in front of, like, it just clears. So just wonderfully,
I forgot the spine.
wonderfully powerful small practices.
It tingles.
Yeah, it's activating, very activating, and again, I needed science to come to the acceptance of the energetic body
Yes, being a
existing, right? And
Right.
having to see examples and having to see healings and experience healings, and we get there eventually.
Eventually, yep. I think it starts by those slow moments of, I was awake right here. Something that I was doing, and it was usually the practice of cultivating chi.
Yeah.
I was awake, and I often, like we were talking about before, I try to make things, daily life things, into a ceremony. There's many things to be grateful for. There's many things to want to send health, love, joy to everybody and anybody out there. So like when I make a cup of tea, that I'm pouring all my love into these cups. It's not just a do the water, and it's a it changes, once again, the change of the perspective. But it took some work to keep doing that, to find the consistency of practice.
Yes.
And especially when you come from a body that isn't well and your day is going to be changing. How do we find our consistency? And I know that's going to be different for each and every person.
Yeah. I watched the struggle before Qigong as a personal trainer. where, you know, I joke about it all the time. Everyone joins the gym in January, and
Right.
they're 99% gone by February.
Right.
You know what I
Right,
mean? So finding the real, you know, I couldn't connect. Like, why can people know that something is healthier for them yet still choose the less healthy option, right? Because the chi is low, right? The drive to do it. I love how Ming Tong, my teacher, our teacher, you know, he asked the question, which one of the body, mind, and spirit is ruling, right? And many of us
Ooh.
are in the body because pain tells us to do this or not to do that,
Yeah.
you know, and hunger says to do this or that, and all of these things.
Or the monkey mind, and you're in.
Right, the monkey mind only catering to the
Emotions.
body's desires on top of it, right? Reasoning, worrying even into the future that if I don't have this now, then that happens then. And again, so I love once again how this just brings back a stillness. You know, you hear in a lot of the spiritual teachings about coming to the now, just being present, you know, without any tension of the past or worry of the future, you know, just in this moment. I can control my breath, right? I have lots to be thankful for. And, you know, but to conjure the energy again is a different thing. And that's why to understand the energetic, the chi energy nature of the body is so important. To know why eating something that is a fresh food full of life force energy, right? Forget what calories, carbs, fats, or whatever else it has.
Right.
Does it have life energy in it? Right? And this helps to explain why processed versus real, right?
Right.
And
Things that get sunlight, things that get the nutrients from the earth, rather than.
yes.
Yes.
You know, so these are little things to consider that can, you know, for relatively, you know, yeah, to eat organic, of course, is more expensive, and
Yes.
everything does cost a little bit more in that sense. But the benefit, the need, the energy that comes from it, you know, the ability to go and do that laundry with a smile
Right.
and
Right.
still taking care of your other stuff, right? That's different, and it starts with having somebody show you that stillness, you know, and that's an important thing. You know, there does come a point when, you know, the teaching becomes too much. It's too many things, right? And the real focus, the way to healing is just that going inward, right? Turning those spotlights from outside of you to turning them inside of you, and learning to energize and learning to feel what really does resonate and bring me joy, therefore boosting chi, therefore increasing my ability to insert joyful thing there, you know. And again, the simplification. We've spoken in the past about how therapy can have some people only constantly reliving the thing.
Yes.
Right.
And that's
And
not
you
good.
you can get very stuck. These are cycles, wheels of, you know, karma and things like that. So to be able to beautifully simplify it, and through the tension existing in the body, which is the incarnate example of the tension within the
Right.
energy self, right?
Right.
You can release the thing, whatever it might be, without necessarily facing that thing, you know. And when I got that out of this, I was like, oh wow, that's fantastic, you know what I mean? It feels like a shortcut even, you know.
Right.
If I just focus on the joy, and it, you know, again, I never tell anyone, don't ignore your problems, of course, you know, you got to face 3D stuff here on earth,
Right.
Yes.
you know, but in a healthy way, you can detach from news and stresses and information that isn't uplifting and enlightening, you know. Put a simple percentage on it in your day. Are you at least 51% taking in positive information,
Happy, yeah.
speaking in a positive way, right? Encouraging words versus criticizing words, right?
Ooh.
Recognizing our own vibration, where it's
Yeah.
at. You know, acceptance being the very first thing, right? And if we don't feel good, accepting that we don't feel good. That's how the only way you can be in the now is accepting it,
That's
right?
honest.
Good,
Yep.
bad, and ugly,
Yep.
and otherwise.
Yep.
Right? So,
And to say that I love myself even
Right.
at my ugliest.
right, and then to free yourself from the tension of it not being appropriate to not feel good, right? Just, this is okay.
Yeah.
This is allowed, right? That's not where my beef is, right? Why waste energy on it, right? And these are all small realizations that, when verbalized, they're so
Feels like
sensational. But all it is getting slow and still enough to recognize it, right? That's so. It's where you spend so much time and hours and practice and learning, only to come to just a simple realization, right? The little epiphany moment, and it's funny, right? And we all need to get there in our own way, but ultimately that it is just a realization, and to just put yourself in the open and neutral place and allow it to happen, right?
To give ourselves
And that's what
permission.
Qigong teaches.
Yeah.
Just get out of the way. Let your body auto-correct. Let your body tell you and feel when something you eat doesn't feel right, you know, and
Yeah.
gain a sensitivity that I think we lost,
Yeah,
you know. And,
Yes,
I agree.
yes.
I totally agree.
You know, we could go on forever, I'm sure, right? That it's the invention of aspirin, basically, is not to feel your deeper issue and correct the thing in your life that's causing that, right? It's to
I
be
don't
able
have
to
time for
do
that
that
now.
bad thing
I
anyway.
need to
and,
get
yeah.
through a work,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, and on top of that, Qigong, this meditative approach even enhances medicines, you know, to make friends with these things rather than being so with inner conflict and combative, and I wish I didn't have to take these, right?
Right.
And damning them, cursing them. There's such numerous ways to release these tensions that we carry, and especially those who are in the chronic conditions, who it's in their face whether they're looking for it or not. you know.
Right.
So to find the ways to release, you know, because many of them are self-inflicted, and you know, many of them just simply by recognizing them, even the
Or
ones from
environment
outside, can be
inflicted.
corrected or at least avoided or prepared for. You can build your
Yeah.
chi up before, recognizing I will need more chi later, so let me charge a little more now, right? And to be ahead of that rather than needing the crash after the expense,
Right.
you know. And it's funny because for many people, moving slowly is taking steps backwards, which is so counterintuitive to the go-go American way,
Yes.
you know.
Gotta do, gotta be, gotta...
Right, but in the step back, and I mean, let's face it, those of us who were given the challenging situations, it's where we weren't seeing it, right? And the universe is saying, I need you to step back and get a greater lesson here.
A huge
You know.
example I use often is 9/11. Yes, it was the most horrendous thing that we had ever gone through as a country, but the 3 months or so afterwards,
Yeah.
everybody became still and then turned to each other,
Yeah.
shared this energy with each other. There was time to talk in a lineup instead of, you know, your eyes moving anywhere but catching onto someone else's. We could only hold on to it for that
3
brief
months.
amount of time.
Yeah.
But it was a wonder to behold, especially after such an horrendous event.
A lot of times it takes nearly losing what you have to really appreciate it, or even losing it to appreciate what it is.
Mhm.
One of my favorite small practices is the chi ball.
Yeah.
That's a very basic. I would love to explain that to our viewers, like the mist, it's a very simple, basic move. You can do it sitting down, you can do it standing up. Can you explain the chi
Sure.
ball?
Sure. The movements again are to enhance our sensitivity, right? So learning to feel, in the beginning even, just feeling the air between the hands. And whether we recognize it or not, there is a plasmatic energy between the palms. That is, for a quick definition for everybody, the aura is the bioelectromagnetic field, which I'm sure many of us have seen. They're taking pictures of the leaves and things with the glow of life around it, right? They're now able to.
Can you feel it?
This is where science is helping us so much in proving what otherwise seems very mystical. But so knowing that this bioelectromagnetic field is always on, whether you feel it or not, that it's always active, right? And using the hands and the collection of energy, or with the mindful intention of collecting this energy in the space between the hands. And with a lot of the Qigong and yoga practices, the marriage of breath and the movement of the body, which really symbolizes how you're taking conscious control, coming back to yourself, right? Taking over what is otherwise subconscious in the breathing, right? And moving the body with deliberation. So as we inhale, we expand the ball a little bit, breathing in. And as you exhale, condensing, not losing, but brightening, making smaller, brighter, more powerful. And inhaling, taking deep breaths just through the nose. And just feel the air gently. Feel the draw as you expand, and then as you exhale, feel the very slightest wind, just bringing your awareness to the palms. Of course, it helps if you gently close your eyes, inhale and expand, keeping the shoulders relaxed, everything soft and relaxed, and exhale, concentrate. And if you close your eyes during the practice, a beautiful visualization is seeing a gold and white light, a chi ball of light, just glowing in your hands. And every inhale, you're pulling the universal life energy, the chi field that surrounds us all, drawing the energy in, expanding brighter, larger. And as you exhale, never losing, only blowing out what's needed and condensing, even brighter. Inhaling, opening, drawing the energy in, relaxing the body. Exhale, gather and concentrate. Nice and slow, just connecting both. And then when you start to feel just general sensations on the skin of the palm, sometimes it's tingling, sometimes it's warmth, sometimes it's magnetic and attraction, repulsion. Just feeling, bringing your awareness right to the palms, whatever sensations you feel.
I feel almost like the magnet ends that are pushing against each other.
Yeah. And then with this concentration, it's a wonderful way of healing. Ming Tong calls the La Chi practice here, where you're expanding and contracting the Chi ball. And the Chi ball can be placed, for example, as we're sitting here, right over the knee, if that was an issue that has pain or discomfort. And doing the same process, sinking as you bring the hands together and exhale, pressing that liquid light right into the knee, hydrating the joint, hydrating all around the bones, the cartilage, and then drawing out anything not needed, drawing in the energy of the universe, right? Focusing it wherever it might need, and we could do that even on the head and the brain, bringing it over the top, and just concentrating, sending that clean white light or the clean white mist right into the area. By doing that, it brings your awareness right there, and again, the beautiful expression, where the mind goes, the chi flows, right? The blood, the activation starts to happen there. I love myself, it begins to feel like a cellular dissolving So, yeah, the La Chi practice is wonderful. Many small ones that can be done that don't require tremendous movements and really have great benefit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
And we will be doing, as separate videos to this one, we'll show you some practices, some of the ones that we have over the years gone, oh, like this one, it's just so simple. Like, for example, the just hip swaying. Think of like a hula,
Yeah.
but you don't have to worry about the ring. You're just gently moving your hips
Mm-hmm.
around, and there are other.
That really helps my lower back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now whatever I'm doing, like if I'm in the middle of laundry and I've been bending and stretching a lot, my back is going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do that.
So
Do that. Just go
definitely-
round.
Mhm.
Easy, slow.
Yeah.
There are definitely certain exercises that I guess each person goes, I love
Yeah.
this
Right.
one, and I'm
Yeah.
going to put that into my toolbox.
Yeah, exactly right.
We're all building our own toolbox. And
Great way to put
Qigong is but one of the things we
That's a
can
good
use.
tool. That's very good
Yeah.
tool.
So much material on YouTube available. Qigong for insert your ailment, it's pretty much out there.
There are even a few stories very specific to this channel, to Borrelia, etc., to Lyme disease, to tick-borne infections. There's a story of a man, I remember. There's a story of a woman. I think there was a third one. So I can think of 3 off the top of my head that were all people who had been bitten by ticks, got very, very sick, and for whatever reason, they found Master Ming Tong Gu. And yet we call him our
And you'll
teacher.
find
We
him
have
on
had
YouTube.
the absolute blessing and pleasure to meet him in person and to go through a practice with him leading. I do have to admit, that was a special. I've not been able to recapture that feeling.
Yeah,
He's a very special man.
he's
He really
incredible,
is.
yeah.
So why does it feel more easy when we have somebody leading us instead of, we know that this feels good, we have a few exercises, let's do it ourselves. Is there something about the connection that helps, bring more energy in?
Do
Is
we
there?
feel perhaps in doing it for ourselves that we have to play the role of both teacher and student so the mind doesn't stop,
Mhm.
And just, okay, now I should maybe do this, now I should maybe do, instead of just trusting that.
Relax and follow.
Yeah.
Well, as
Okay.
you get into the I almost want to just say acceptance of the energetic nature of the universe, just to put it bluntly,
Yeah.
right? The reason is because, as we said before, Chinese medicine will view any ailment, right, as a stagnation, a blockage of flow. And when we're at our worst and our lowest, right, things are just not moving. We're on that metaphorical floor, right?
Right.
Just what do I do? Very dark place, So the understanding of the energetic nature is that the magnetic portion of it. The reason this is because I don't want to say low and high, but opposite polarities, right, are going to magnetically attract. Lower energy is drawn to higher energy in a magnetic fashion.
Oh.
Right. So to jumpstart an otherwise stagnant, not flowing, there is a need to join in someone whose field is flowing so that one's own field gets a recognition. Oh, that's what a flowing field feels like, right? Because when we get in the same
That's-
room, we're interacting already.
Right,
Our fields are
right.
exchanging energy, right? And what happens in a collective, right, is you know, I'm blocked in this way, but you're not. So I learn off of yours. And, you know, and that's why when you put people together in a practice, oh my goodness, the power of practice is, you know, not just 1 + 1 + 1. It's, you know, to the nth power of however many you're practicing, right?
Yeah.
You know? So it becomes, the abundance of energy is just amazing. But I mean, that's the real reason, right? We do need something, an inspiration of some sort, right? The spark, if you will.
Right.
And that's hard sometimes. And sometimes knowing the rules of the game, again, we've spoken about that. To me, this understanding was like getting the rules of the game, or the human handbook finally. Right? This is why it doesn't work, because you're focusing on only body, or you're stuck up in the mind only, right? And spirit, you're ignoring completely, you know? And this is where, who's leading, right? Who's leading? Because I want to lead. You know what I mean?
Right.
The pure consciousness within all of this should be in control, right? And that's what this is, a beautiful way to connect people to. And then you find joy at any state you're in. You won't even need the healing of your disease or illness or whatnot to just be in a good place.
Yeah.
You know, so proud of how you can see joy in every day, right? With something that you face every day, right?
Yeah.
This is something that otherwise is crushing to many. The Chinese water torture of the endurance of time.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
if you're in now, that goes away. There's only now, right? And it helps you to be either beautifully distracted by something, right, that just helps you be in a now state, or focused on a development and healing of self, growing of the self energy, taking those moments. You know, that's it's a wonderful thing that you really do feel empowered once you start to get the control of, you know, and you start to want to practice, and you feel how if you don't, right, oop, I'm tight today because I didn't do my hip rotations, you know, and to be able to start recognizing yourself so clearly, you know, and things, like I said, tensions just start to fall. They do. They just start to fall off. You know, ones we ask, and even ones we don't. So I look forward to being able to do maybe a short practice video in the
That'd be great.
future.